How long should we wait before we get started?
Will we know if anyone's here?
I know I was waiting to see a number. I'm like, do we start? Do we wait to see a number? But then I don't, what if it take a long time? Like,
It takes a few minutes for it to update, but you should be live and able to start whenever you're ready.
okay, so we're just going to go for it no matter who's here. All right, perfect. Thank you, James. So good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. Although we all wish we were in sunny Florida enjoying each other's company at the conference, one thing we've learned from 2020 is to be resilient. And luckily we have found another way to gather and be able to share best practices and highlight some of the wonderful things that we are doing in our schools. So thank you for joining us, and we hope you enjoy our presentation on flexible programming and learn wonderful things to take back to your school. So we'll just begin with a little overview of our school.
PS 170, a Bay Ridge landmark, was officially opened on April 15, 1915. A new addition was constructed 100 years later in 2015. The school serves a diverse student population with over 1,000 students in grades K through 5 and has an outstanding faculty of over 75 highly qualified teachers. School facilities include 37 classrooms, a library, an arts room, a music room, a science room, a gymnasium, an auditorium, a cafeteria, and other special instructional or resource rooms. All rooms are air-conditioned and equipped with state-of-the-art interactive boards and laptops and iPad cards. In addition to the city's curriculum, the school also features the Junior Gradebooks program, the Chinese Dual Language program, STEM program, chorus band, the violin program, the pencil program, and the newcomer program. The school holds annual concerts in winter and spring, a cultural festival in February, and a family festival in May or June. This is PS 170.
So we're here to present to you today on flexible programming, making the best of your day. My name is Christy, and I'm an assistant principal at the school. We have Maria Strong-Gillis, who's an assistant principal at the school, Alan Stratus, who is our ANL as well as special ed coordinator, and we have Caitlin Ryan, who is a 4th grade IC teacher at the school. So you'll be hearing from all of us today, and we thank you so much for joining us. So what we're going to be presenting on is an innovation that we began in our school around 2016. We noticed that by including this brand new innovation that we're going to get to in a minute, we have seen significant growth in student achievement. And what this innovation is called is SGI, or Small Group Instruction. So we're going to be presenting about what small group instruction is in our school. But please note that during these uncertain times where scheduling had to be adapted and incorporating blended learning and remote learning, that we have still, because we believe in small group instruction so much, and we have seen the benefits of providing these instructional periods and the small group dedicated to helping children that will benefit from that time, we still have incorporated SGI into our daily schedules. So we provide each day a SGI or help session for students that we know, targeted students that we know will benefit from that extra time. So even during these times, we have made sure we've continued to practice what we believe in. So small group instruction. Small group instruction is one small group instructional period per day that's allotted to each classroom teacher to work with a small group of their students. This is an exciting innovation in our instructional design. SGI, which we call it for short, gives our teachers the most needed instructional resource, time. That is one thing, if you ask every teacher, what do they need? Time is always the first thing that they'll respond. So that time that we're giving them allows the teacher to be able to work with targeted students in a small group setting, focusing on ELA and math, which is really pivotal to the success of our school, which has a large English language learner and special needs population. So in New York State, each teacher is entitled to 5 periods per week, 1 per day, and we're just going to talk a little bit about our state of New York, and we know it varies from state to state. So just so you know, a frame of reference of how we were able to come up with this program. So during that period, the teachers have unassigned professional work. The period is known as a preparation period, and it can be utilized for planning lessons, grading papers, meeting with parents, analyzing student data from assessments, or can be self-directed. As teachers are on their preparation period, classroom students are with a cluster teacher. Now, a cluster teacher for us in New York is a teacher in an elementary school who is not assigned to the same group of students for the entire day. Cluster teachers usually teach classes such as music, art, science, physical education, and any other subjects agreed upon by the school community. In order to accommodate our SGI program that we believe in so much, we had to expand our cluster program by doubling the number of cluster teachers in order to cover the teachers as they work with their students in a small group instructional period. Here's a sample schedule. So if you take a look, we highlighted the periods that are yellow are the SGI or small group instructional periods. And you'll see that 1 period is assigned to a teacher daily. So during the SGI periods, we are focusing on either social studies or STEM. We have chosen to departmentalize our social studies and STEM programs so that classroom teachers can focus their time and attention on planning ELA and math. So going back to extra time, now they're really focusing and honing in teachers their time on ELA and math subject area. Whereas in turn, social studies and science, the curriculum is taught by an expert in the social studies and STEM fields. So both social studies and science, as well as ELA and math, really have focused attention from the teachers who are teaching the subject areas. Student selection. So now how do teachers go about choosing which students they want to work with during SGI? So the selection of students, the size of the group, which we keep small, that really is a key to the success of SGI. And the choice of instructional strategies for SGI are determined by 2 factors. The first is what the curriculum expects of the students, and the other is the deficits of the targeted students in meeting the expectations. Now, we just provided some sample activities. As we mentioned, really teachers take a look at their data, take a look at their students. They know them well and determine what they want to work with the group during that time. So here are some examples, not set in stone, that teachers work on during the SGI period. They can work on guided reading, book clubs, guided writing. They can reteach if they notice a group of students may have not mastered the learning objective of the day, but they use a different approach, which might be a little bit more scaffolded and more effective for that particular group. They could address homework concerns, because we do believe in homework, and we make sure that teachers check homework daily as a form of just data collection. They address any phonics or vocabulary study for the students. They provide enrichment. So please also note that one of the things that we noticed in the first couple of years that we began SGI, it was to target children who might have had a deficit or needed additional support. But then in turn, we wanted to make sure that we were also pushing the children who didn't need that extra support a little bit further. So we also have incorporated enrichment during our SGI periods. They can work on math word problems, math drills. Teachers and students can work on previous year's deficits, especially those that have there are prerequisites for the current curriculum. So if we know that there's certain topics that perhaps have not been mastered, teachers will kind of backtrack a little and work on that before they can move on to the new curriculum. Test prep as well, and really any other type of activity, as long as a teacher speaks with one of their supervisors and can justify this is a need, this is what I'm noticing, they have the data to support why that's a focus for the SGI. We are pretty open to any activity so long as it's meeting the students' needs. So what we're going to observe now is an SGI lesson from a kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Alshimi.
Describing words. Describing words. So I'm going to describe myself. So sometimes we use describing words in a sentence. We can say a sentence. We can say, I see Miss Oshimi has hair. But that sentence is boring, okay? That sentence is boring. But I can, oh, my ears. But I can say, Miss Oshimi has long black hair. And that tells me a little bit more about the hair, right? So the describing word is Miss Oshimi. The describing word is what? What did I just say? Long, long and black, right? And it helps me understand a little bit more. So today we're going to, you have a question?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Oshimi had one nose.
I have one nose, right? Right? Very good. Okay. So today we're going to play a little game, and let's see who's ready. I have, oh, you can't, no peeking. I'm going to give you a card, and you're going to put it on your headband, okay? And you can't tell your friends what they have on their headband. You have to guess, the person who has to guess what it is. But we're going to use lots and lots of describing words to help the person. Okay? I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint. They're all animals.
Can we close our eyes?
No, you can't, because you can't see it. Okay? So let me see. Let's see. Don't tell her what it is. Only your friends can see it. Are you ready? Don't tell her what it is. You got it? I don't want to get in here. Okay. Here we go. All right. No peeking, Soshimi. Do I have it?
No.
Is it in?
No. Yes.
Is it in? Okay. I have an animal on my head, and you do too, right? So, who wants to help Miss Oshimi figure out what animal I have in my head using describing words? Give me a describing word. Don't tell me the animal. Describe the animal. We can use some of these, right? Big, small, fast, slow, maybe colors.
Fast.
So this animal is fast? Okay. Yeah.
Animal can climb.
Ooh, can climb. Can you speak about how many legs it has or the color? Madeline. What color? Give me some colors.
Brown.
It's brown? Anything else? Yes.
4 feet.
Okay, so it climbs, it has 4 feet. Does it like to eat anything? And the color. Tell me the colors. Tell me what it, yeah.
Bananas.
Yeah, it likes to eat bananas. Ooh, I still don't know. Can you give me any more hints? Any more hints without telling me the animal?
Yellow banana.
Okay, let's see. Yellow bananas. Let's see. Oh, I think, am I a monkey?
Yeah!
Am I really a monkey?
Yeah.
Oh, good job, Miss Elsie. And let's help our friend, Ren Fang. Tell him. Give him a describing word.
It has 2 hands.
Okay. What else?
It has 1 beak.
What color?
Yellow.
Okay. What color is the animal? Tell him.
Black.
And
It is
what color? Black and what?
black and white and yellow.
Okay. And is it fast or slow?
Slow. Fast and slow.
Okay. And how does this animal walk?
He wobbles.
He waddles, right? They waddle. Do you think you know what animal you have? It's part of our zoophonics.
And a penguin.
Don't give him the answer. Do you know what it is? She just said it. What is it? A penguin. Very good. So, right now, boys and girls, we use lots and lots of describing words, didn't we?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick an animal. I have little animals here, and we're going to describe animals. And I already picked my animal. So my animal is
A
a
cow.
cow. So let's see.
I know it. Hello. Hello, cute.
Okay.
Do we get to take them home?
Maybe you can take them home. And I have little labels. So now we need to figure out which animal belongs with which animal.
Is this a dog? Is this a dog?
That's a dog. I know. Wait, no, what does it mean? This is a cow.
See?
C.
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got my cow. Find your animal. Find your animal. Find your
I
label.
found it.
What's that?
Dog.
D. Let's feel it. D. How does dog start with?
E.
D. So do you think it's this one? How about, what's that? Boys and girls, what's that?
Z.
What is that though?
It's a zebra.
It's a zebra and a monkey, and we have the pig. Very good.
Look, he's eating the monkey. He's eating everything.
Now what I'm going to do, eyes up. I'm going to write a sentence using describing words. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
You forgot to write your name.
Okay, that's very good. I always write my name. I always write my name on my work. If I forget to write my name, it would be an awful shame. I always write my name on my work. Good. That's very good that you know
You
this stuff.
forgot write your date.
And my date. Okay. So I already drew my picture because I wanted you guys to get started. Now I drew my cow. Listen, watch and then do it. I already have my cow up here, so I'm going to label cow because I know how to spell the word cow. And then clouds, grass, sun. I know that's not a letter S. Now I can write my words using a what?
Describing
words. I see the cow. Is that a good sentence?
No, it's a
Boring sentence. Let's try to think of a nice, good describing sentence. Watch me, Felix. The cow is black and white. Very good. I can say that. What else can I say about the cow? Yeah.
The cow drinks milk.
Okay, that's adding more details. But right now, I'm just going to write the color. Maybe I can say, how many legs does he have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. So I'm going to start my sentence.
Okay, so that was a video by Miss Alshimi showing you a sample of a SGI lesson. Now we're going to take a look at how us classroom teachers keep record of our SGI sessions. So we have developed a school-wide database that allows us to log our sessions. As you can see, it's on a data tracking form. We include the date, we include the teacher name, the official class, what our topic is, and it's very teacher-friendly. It's very straightforward for everybody to figure out, and it allows us to put in what our instructional activity is and whether the student has mastered the skill or not. And this usually, as soon as we finish up our SGI activities, we come in, we put it in. It takes less than 5 minutes to complete. So here's a list of pre-selected options that teachers can usually work on with SGI. It allows the logging system to be much quicker and easier for us. And here is the sample in the on the Google form that allows us to input the student's first name and last name, and whether they require further instruction or not for future SGI sessions. So usually it'll say whether they mastered the skill, they need more help, and that's where this comes in. So this is an example of our SGI database system. This is usually sent out to all of us on a weekly basis, and it allows us as classroom teachers to really take a look at what students we did SGI with, what skills did we practice with them, what did we work on, how did they do, did they need more practice, were they proficient, and it really allows us as classroom teachers to assess who we should take for SGI maybe the following week or a few days later. And it also allows us, being though I'm in an ICT classroom, there's 2 classroom teachers, a special education teacher and a general education. So we also want to make sure that we're not continuously taking the same students every week or every day. So it's important that you try to get to every single student, even if it's every 2 weeks, just to make sure, whether you're doing enrichment or other skill work that they'll have to work on their deficiencies. So now we're going to take a look at an interview with an SGI teacher, with a 5th grade special education teacher.
So in terms of determining who our students are for SGI, it's based off of several factors, mainly based off of student needs, obviously, and it's something that we monitor on a daily basis. So if there's students that are struggling with certain concepts, or the group of students that are struggling with the concept, that's how we determine who needs that or who we take for SGI. We'll take them aside, and it could be something that they're struggling with that day. So say we introduce multiplying fractions and they're really not getting that concept, we can pull them aside during SGI and build them up so they can get on par with the rest of the class where they should be in terms of grade level. Identifying teaching points, it's obviously based off of concepts that we are teaching in class, and if they don't understand the concept, then that teaching point is going to be tied into what we're doing in SGI. So for example, if we're doing figurative language in a class, the students are not understanding the concept, or they're not showing how they really understand the language, that will tie into how we develop our teaching points. Teaching points are also based on what we do beforehand, so it's predetermined. In terms of book clubs and things like that. So that we have a curriculum that we create before we even bring them to SGI. That is based off of student needs, it's based off of their levels, and having heterogeneous groups that are, in terms of their levels, they're not all the same, but they're within a small range. So we're able to do the same, or accomplish the same goal for every student. In terms of having noticed the benefits, absolutely. I mean, I think that there are a ton of students who need that small group, and being an ICT teacher is helpful, but then it's still not the small group that we need to really hone in on these kids' needs. So when we take a small group, their grades have gone up, and it's mainly because we can sit with them and we can really pinpoint and identify what they're struggling with and help them in a small group setting or even our one-to-one setting. So it's definitely been beneficial, and we've seen our state test scores started. We've seen our state test scores go up. We've seen their in-classroom performances go up. So it's definitely been beneficial. In terms of recorded SGI periods, we have our online record books, which we use after every SGI period, but we also log them personally in our own record books and log what we do with the students, who we take. This way we know what we're doing every SGI period. We can look back and reference back and say, okay, we're working on, multiplying decimals. So this way we can build off of that in the next SGI period. In terms of the success of the program, I think it's been very successful. We've seen that in their state test scores going up. We've seen that in their classroom performance going up, in their homework grades going up, in their classroom testing. Their grades have also increased. I think it's really beneficial because it allows us to identify student needs and then really attack them in a way that's beneficial for the students, as opposed to just maybe pulling them aside for a minute or two in a whole class discussion or even a smaller group within a class discussion. To have them in the SGI period, it affords us the opportunity to ask them questions, to have them feel less pressured by the other students around them, so they are more open to saying what they need help with and things that they struggle with. So it's been really beneficial in that sense.
I think I really do enjoy working with my students during SGI period, 4 to 5 times a week. I noticed a lot of improvement from my students, that first of all, students are happy to work with me every day, because we do a lot of hands-on activities, because for SGI, the students are struggling with learning. So normally design something really hands-on, like we usually play games, and we also sing Chinese songs, and I gave them a lot of support in writing Chinese characters. We use brushes and we use ink to help them practice writing Chinese characters, and they love that. They enjoy doing it. I think that's one thing that I see my students are more interested in learning Chinese, and I think doing SGI really helps them get their interest, motivate them in learning. Secondly, I see a lot of improvement in their speaking, because they get more time with me speaking, communicating with me in Chinese, and we practice more writing, and that helps a lot. Certainly, I understand my students better because we spend time together every day, more time, and I know all they need this specific help. And when I meet with their parents, and I can tell them more what I notice about their children, so they can better support their children at home. Having small group instruction, having that period totally dedicated to focus on students who are struggling has not only has it helped my students academically, but for me as a teacher, it has given me a great source of information and understanding how my ESL learners are grappling with the strategy, or how they are understanding content within my classroom. So it gives me a really detailed picture. So one way I determine the students that I plan to see in my SGI sessions really depends on assessments. Sometimes I might have a whole group instruction, and then there are reteach moments, and within that circle I might pull a few students, and if I feel that they're still not understanding and they need something designed a little differently, then I know that these students I will have to see and plan out instruction that's more tailored and just much more feasible for them. SGI has been really, really great for me. I think that it's effective, and I do see a difference over the years. Pulling out my students for SGI, I also feel like they're really motivated to spend that private time with their teacher.
and they get to work in a group where they always feel like it's safe and it's comfortable. So they definitely do show more of their character a little bit, and they're more able to take risks. So that's a great benefit that SGI has on students, and I really do think it's an effective instructional practice.
I think I really do enjoy working with my students during SGI period, which is 4 or 5 times a week. I noticed a lot of improvement from my students, that they, first of all, students are happy to work with me every day, because they get to do a lot of hands-on activities. Because for SGI, the students are struggling with their Chinese learning. So I normally design something really hands-on, like we usually play games, and we also sing Chinese songs.
Okay. You can see from our teacher testimonies, it really shows how much our teachers really do love the SGI program. Now we're going to look at some of the data. This is the 2016-2017 school quality snapshot. It's focusing on student achievement, and focusing on that, we can see that our schools scored in the good range, and that's measured with 3 bars. For the 2016-2017 school year, we reported a proficiency rate of 41% on the ELA standardized state exam and 55% on the standardized math exam. Administration came together and we really discussed how to close this gap, and that is really how SGI in the program was born. The 2016-2017 school year is when we began implementing our SGI program. For the 2017-2018 school year, 1 year after the implementation of SGI, we've progressed to an excellent rating measured by 4 bars on the school quality snapshot in the category of student achievement. Our proficiency for the ELA standardized exam increased from 41% to 53%. Our math standardized state exam scores increased from 55% to 66%. That's a double-digit increase in both ELA and math. The only major change implemented throughout the school year was the SGI program. For the 2018-2019 school year, the second year of SGI implementation, we again scored in an excellent rating in student achievement, once again measured by 4 bars. Last year's performance on the ELA standardized state exam, the last measurement that we had because of COVID. So the last measurement on the ELA standardized state exam was a 53% proficiency. We rose to 61% proficiency. Last year's math standardized state exam was a 66 proficiency, whereas this year scoring a 79% proficiency. Our schools continuing to demonstrate growth on both the ELA and math state exams. Now it's time to hear from our students. You'll now see a video on student thoughts of SGI.
Felix, what do you work on during SGI?
During SGI, we work on the struggles we have and the difficulties that we have on.
Sophia, do you find it helpful to work with your teacher during this time?
Of course, we can level up our reading skills, or we can be more understanding more of the subjects, and we can probably get 100 on the test.
Josh, do you find it helpful to work with your teacher at this time?
Yeah, because since it's not like a other teacher, you're more comfortable with your regular teacher.
Do you find it helpful to work with your teacher during this time?
Yes, because when in the classroom, sometimes I feel nervous to tell that to everybody, and I kind of get stressed because I don't know my answers correct. When there's a smaller group, it's easier to answer the question peacefully.
Yeah, can you tell us how it helps you?
It helps us be better at the things we struggle at, and I usually get nervous in certain subjects, and I'm happy to score.
Sorry, I just had to unmute myself. So you have observed a kindergarten lesson for a small group instructional period. You have heard testimony from teachers. You have heard testimony from students, and all speaking highly of our program. And in all honesty, we really do have to say that we wholeheartedly believe in our SGI program. As it was mentioned previously that the only difference that we made as a school, the first year that we made such a drastic double-digit gains jump was SGI. And it's just a matter of taking the time out to get to know your students, work with them in a smaller setting that really allows teachers to hone in on meeting their needs, whether it's remedial or enrichment. It's really making sure that we know our children and know them well. So we really do believe that SGI is the reason that we've had the increase in both ELA and math state exams and student proficiency, as you can see. Although we don't have data from last year and may not have data this year due to COVID, we still have our data from the years of testing to prove that SGI is very successful. And it's something that we have continued to implement through remote and blended learning, and we will continue to do so in the future. So SGI has allotted our teachers time, which we mentioned before is the key factor of what we all need more time for. We just need like an extra hour in the day. So we're giving them time to get to know their students on a personal level, to better understand their needs, to know how those needs can be addressed. And we've just highlighted the 3 benefits of flexible programming, which first being focused small group instruction for those that need extra support. The second being reduction of workload, narrow the focuses of ELA and math for teachers, which allows them to have that time and really dedicate their efforts to planning thoughtful and detailed, in-depth, rigorous instruction for ELA and math. The third being improvement in the quality of social studies and science/STEM, which we do believe is very important. Those content areas are extremely important for students. We know that overall social studies and science in elementary school isn't taught to the same caliber as it is in junior high school and high school, because they don't have a separate teacher, separate period, which is what led us to departmentalize our social studies and science program. So those are 3 benefits of our flexible programming that we believe in very, very strongly. And then now we're going to get into, with Ms. Stratus, we're going to get into flexible programming for our students with special needs.
Thank you, Christy. So another initiative that we began here at PS 170 2 years ago to improve student achievement of our special needs students with IEPs, is called flexible programming. First, I'll begin by telling you what is flexible programming. At PS 170, when a student in the 12 to 1-to-1 class demonstrates the ability and readiness to be involved in and progress in the general education curriculum, flexible programming allows for the student to participate in the instructional classroom setting of students with and without disabilities, whether it be in the ICT classroom or the general education classroom for a part of the school day. Likewise, a student in the integrated co-teaching classroom may be programmed for instruction in the general education setting for a part of the day. Now, why do we employ this flexible program at PS 170? Well, the Special Education Standards Operating Procedures Manual and the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act says that students with an IEP should spend as much time as possible with peers who do not receive special education. And the IEP must indicate the special education program or related services recommended for the students to advance appropriately towards his or her annual goals and to the greatest extent appropriate be involved in and progress in the general education curriculum, participate in extracurricular and other non-academic activities, and be educated and participate in activities with other students with and without disabilities. Therefore, this flexible programming allows our students with IEPs to interact more often with our general education population. When are students provided with flexible programming? There are many factors that come into play. A student is provided with flexible programming if it would serve the student's needs, if it would support the student in achieving annual goals on the IEP, be an appropriate recommendation for the specific student with an IEP to push into a general education or ICT setting for science, social studies, music, gym, art, or even ELA and math, so that they can be exposed to the general education curriculum, which is always the goal. We want to incorporate flexible programming into a student's school day to address the concern for providing the least restrictive environment as well, wherever and whenever possible. How is flexible program assigned to a student? It takes a village. Flexible programming begins with looking at the class makeup of the 12 to 1-to-1 and ICT classrooms. If the present levels of academic achievement and functional performance of a student are indicative of progress and independence, then flexible programming can be employed. The classroom teacher, along with the school implementation team members, base their student selection for flexible programming on multiple criteria. Here, the criteria has been listed for you. First, we begin the school year with teacher recommendations. All sections of the IEP must be reviewed. Classroom academic performance, teacher observations, student school history, testing data, student individual behavior, student responsibility level, school implementation team review and approval, and parent agreement. It is important for you to know that here at PS 170, our school implementation team is made up of 11 staff members who are either assistant principals, counselors, our school psychologist, and myself, who is a special ed and ENL coordinator, as well as our principal. What criteria is used for assigning flexible programming? Once all the data is compiled, the desired class or classes for the student to push into for instruction are chosen. The school prep master is consulted for programming. The class size, location, and time of day is considered. The student spends a trial period, first and foremost, 4 to 6 weeks in the general education or ICT setting before the actual change is made on the IEP. That's very important to first have this trial period for the student. Feedback is acquired from the classroom teacher, the host teacher, as well as the parents. If the student is showing involvement and making progress in the general education and or ICT setting, then flexible programming is assigned to the child's IEP. Flexible programming is individually tailored programming to meet the unique needs of our students with special needs and propel them academically, socially, and emotionally forward. Thank you.
We believe SGI and flexible programming are two initiatives that have led to success and a rise in student achievement at our school. We hope you can take away something from our presentation to bring back to your school. Thank you so much for joining us.
It looks like we have 8 minutes for anyone if you have questions. We don't know who is or who is not in attendance other than what we see in the chat. But if anybody would like to say a question, we'll see if any of our team members can respond quickly so we can answer a few before our time is up.
We thank you all for the wonderful compliments, and we hope that we get to see you all at Disney next year.
Thank you.
Just let me know when you want me to stop the broadcast.
I think we're good.
We're good. Yeah, I think we can stop.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
James.
Yeah, thank you, James.
Thank you.
Everybody appreciate it.